Now we're going to show you part 2 of my interview with John B. Wells of Coast to Coast AM. Now, Mr. Wells, you were telling us right before the break about your grandfather predicting the war with Japan.
Yes, he did, and that's about all I heard about it. But when I asked my dad, what do you predict as far as the next war is concerned, he said, that's the thing about the next one, you won't know who you're fighting. And I think maybe if I were to extrapolate on his idea, no, we won't know who we're fighting because we'll be fighting each other. Look at all the division everywhere, a division along social lines, economic lines, political philosophy, educational levels, all of these things. And the mechanism is in place, and it's a very well-oiled machine. And it is to divide us. Because if everybody gets on the same page, then these things that we find objectionable will be changed.
Right.
But as long as we're fighting among ourselves, nothing will be done. And the program will continue to run just like it has. Now that said, it is aided and abetted by the mainstream media. There's no doubt about it. MSNBC, I can't, without Microsoft behind them, I can't imagine that they wouldn't have gone the way of Air America, because it's just so blatant in its presentation of their political ideology. That's fine. But what they do not, this is what's so completely fraudulent about their presentation, is that they never bring up that, you mean that it's not just people we're ideologically opposed to who are going to be punished? You mean we're going to be punished too?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Now, that's exactly how divide and conquer works.
Well, let me ask you this, since you bring up that point, do they think that they're immune to this, or do they just go along to get along?
They go along because they're paid to go along. They're hired guns. They call themselves journalists. These people haven't made a journal entry since they were in college, if they did it then. They just got the grades, they got the job, and you do what you're told. In fact, that station that I mentioned to you earlier, WFAA in Dallas, they were a client for 25 years, but when the old conservative guard, call them conservatives, might as well, because they're not liberal, as defined here, which, by the way, in Europe means the exact opposite of what conservative and liberal means here. That nobody's bothered to tell anybody that either. But when the old guard moved out and the new guard moved in, they got rid of anybody that did not have a liberal bend toward social policy. And if you sang out, well, I just don't like this, or I think this policy is wrong, or this or that, you weren't around long. And so after 25 years, bye. And that was long enough, that's fine. And it was revealing that things had changed. The political ideology there had changed, and this is how it is. Deal with it. So I did, I left.
Now, you've talked about Amber Lyon before, and you say she's working on some things you can't really elaborate right now, but going with the media censorship and how her stories were censored when she was at the big networks, do you think this is a chilling effect? Do you think this is something that's going to continue? Will we see more Amber Lyons? People come out and say, this is what I was forced to do, or this is how I was censored at my big network, so now I'm going to go independent.
I do believe it. There's an old expression, nobody wants to be first, but everybody wants to be next. And I think that people like Amber Lyon and Ed Snowden and Julian Assange, these philosophically, and that's what this struggle is. It's a philosophical struggle. It's like, can we put the money aside for a minute? Can we put the control and the expansion of our nation, because our nation, we get the bigger half of the world. We get the bigger half of every deal that we do. Put all of that aside, and we realize that everybody in the world and every nation on earth is not going to treat the other nations fairly. So you always try to negotiate from a position of strength, but not from a position of intimidation, more from a position of respect. And I may be getting far afield here.
No, go ahead.
Well, the thing is that when your government is corrupt and your media covers it up, the people who are not of your country, they're observed, like people in Europe and so forth around the world, they're looking at this, they're going, are the American people idiots? Surely they can see what their government is doing, and surely they know that their mass media is covering it up. What does that make us appear to be? Weak.
Yes.
And vulnerable follows that. And gullible. And frankly stupid. And we're not. It's just that we're busy. because we live within a society that is very complex. We have to have a lot of technologically advanced devices just to get through the day. We must text, we must email, we must call, we must have our toll tag, we must have our garage door opener, but first we have to use the gate opener.
Yeah, that's right.
It's endless. None of these things are really necessary. I would submit to you that we get less done now because of the time that's taken manipulating our devices, less productivity than we would have produced, that we would have had if we had just done our work and left all this other stuff out of it.
Exactly right, because your Wi-Fi goes down and now you have to spend time trying to reboot your device just to go back to doing the work that you were trying to do in the first place.
Refresh that page. What's the problem here? Oh, hold on. Wait a minute. We've lost the voice over IP phone's down. Okay, let me get the cell. My internet's down. I'm going to reboot my router and I'll call you back. That's just stupid. I mean, how much time is that by the end of the year?
A whole lot of time. And it's time that we don't have to waste because we have things, like currently here at InfoWars, we have the NFL boycott. Because we want people to pay attention to the real issues, and we have the situation with the NFL and the Daniels defense. They're blocking them and so forth. What are your thoughts about that?
I thought the Daniel defense ad was good. I thought it was a bit strong, just a bit strong.
Really? Was it tasteful?
I thought it was extremely tasteful. But I knew what the reaction would be, which is why I say it was a bit strong. It's not too strong for my taste, but I knew that it would be too strong for their taste. At the same time, I mean, I see both sides of things. I understand that in every court case, two good lawyers are going to go into court, and one of them is going to lose, unless, which is why they'll send it to mediation. Just hash this out. Don't come into court with this, because two lawyers are going to go in there and they're both good, but they're going to lose. And maybe it's a righteous win, and maybe it's an ignominious defeat. Who knows what is right? That's why it says in Scripture, work it out among yourselves before you go to the courts. I'm paraphrasing because I'm not a theologian nor a biblical scholar, but that's the message. Where the NFL is concerned, what has this done for us? Oh, baseball is as American as apple pie. Yeah, okay, football, got to have football in the winter. Well, look, I enjoy football games just like anybody else does. What I don't like is the culture that surrounds it. We're gods, we are invincible. Okay, that's fun. That's fun as long as you're watching a cartoon. Now, if these guys are going to be cartoons, then and it's all in fun.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. But when it's, let me put it another way. If I want to see criminals in violent conflict with each other, I only have to drive a few miles, and I can see it live right there. I don't have to go to the Cowboy Stadium and watch a TV screen that's 60 yards wide, and you're sitting there like a moron looking at this screen.
When the game's right there on the field.
Oh, well, the players are right there. Oh, but they look so tiny. I'd rather go with this. I mean, what is that doing to us? Why is this necessary? Oh, and I left out the part about if you are privileged enough to have parking passes right there at the front where you just get out of the car and walk right in. Chances are there will be a couple of policemen going through your trunk and so forth. Makes no difference how expensive the car might be that you're driving. And one of them will have his M4 there. He won't be pointing it at your head, but he's got it there. It's an intimidation thing, looking through your trunk, make sure you don't have, some sort of a device you're going to let off at the
And then they're saying that you can only bring in transparent bags.
Absolutely stupid. I mean, really, what have we become? You want to cure the threat of terrorism in this country? I got an idea. Deport everybody whose visa has expired unless they get a proper extension. Close the borders. Expel the illegal aliens. Well, you don't want those people to have a better life? I do want them to have a better life. Well, what would you say if you were on the other side of the border looking at the bright promise of America? I wouldn't say, I would ask, why isn't my country like this? Why can't we make our country this is good? That's their stuff, this is our stuff, and our stuff doesn't look as good as their stuff. What can I do to that? And then I think, oh, well, you're thinking like an American. You're not thinking like somebody who's not an American.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point, because even here with our country, we may not have such problems as they have in Mexico, but we have different problems. It's not they come over the border and everything's okay, like we went and saw that movie Elysium with the crew, And I don't know if you've seen the film, but basically everybody's trying to get to the space station. And once everybody gets there, it's perfectly fine. But the problem about it is the space station is not big enough to hold the whole population of Earth.
Right.
But that's the message of the thing. You just give people citizenship, you let people come in, and everything is fine.
Yeah, and to augment the horror of this whole thing, they're offering, our government is offering, I don't know if they're currently doing it, but they have, and very well may be doing it to this day, offering a pathway to citizenship if you'll just go into the military and go fight for your country. Fight for your country. How long we have been at this now? 12 years in the Middle East? Mm-hmm. And the last big one that took this long was the Vietnam conflict. Went for 11 years from April of 64 up until whatever month it was in 75. That war was never declared. The Korean War before that, there was no armistice, there was no treaty, nothing. There was just a withdrawal to the parallel, the 49th parallel, I want to say. And that was it. Who was feeding all those people in? China. We've been at war with China for 60 years, so all this noise over here about, if I go to a black African country and they pull me over and the police come over and go, what are you doing here? Is that racial profiling? No. If you get pulled over and they go, well, he doesn't look Somalian. That guy looks Somalian. We're looking for a Somalian. Let's go talk to him. Is that then racial profiling? This is just a division tool. Blacks and whites in this country get along fine. We understand each other. We go, hey, you know what? You're different. And the other one says, you're different too. It's like, isn't it kind of good? Like Jimi Hendrix said, wouldn't it be a real drag if we were all the same? Mm-hmm. Yes. To try and make people colorblind is to deny them their individuality and to deny yourself enjoying the difference in people.
Exactly.
But I mean, is that too artsy for people? I don't think so. I mean, Professor Griff, you know him.
Oh yeah, we know
member of the Public Enemy. He calls me on the phone and I go, is this my brother of color? And he goes, yes. It's like we like each other. It's like, are we colorblind? No, because we'd have to be literally physically blind. Oh, no, I don't pay any attention to that. It's like we came from entirely different backgrounds and wound up at exactly the same place.
That's right. And
that's the thing. That's the magic.
So you're saying, let's stop all this racial division that we see on TV.
Immediately.
Because, it's like you said, a bank robbery, the guy may be black, he may be white. That's the person we're looking for. That's different than, just trying to downplay somebody, trying to keep them down just because of the color of their skin.
I think that's over with, man. I think that's been over with for a long time. I think they're just beating that horse to try and...
Yeah, why are they beating that horse?
Because they don't have anything else.
Because every time you criticize the president, you're a racist, or if you're a person of color, then you're an Uncle Tommy. It's always something. You can't do anything.
That's it. And that's the whole point. You can't do anything. You might have seen this picture with one of my favorite English actors in it, Matthew McFadden. He's always doing stuff like Little Dorrit. I think it was written by Dickens.
Okay.
And there's the Office of Circumlocution. And this is not a good place because once your paperwork gets submitted in there, it's over. It just swirls around the circumlocution, Mm-hmm. It's just paper just swirling around in there and nothing ever gets done. Your dream dies right there. That's what this is. This has become a governmental circumlocution where all these issues just keep getting passed from this one, this one, this one, this one. Just keep passing around. And nothing gets done.
Exactly. Nothing is getting done in this country.
I mean, things are more the same today than they ever were before as far as they're concerned. But people like us on the ground, the people who are living the life and not trying to rule over the people, we get along fine. Mm-hmm. We get along fine.
Until the TV tells us not to.
Yeah, if somebody says, you don't like President Obama because he's black, it's like, that is as ridiculous as my saying you voted for him because he's black. Mm-hmm. Or I voted for George Bush or Lyndon Johnson. Of course, I couldn't vote for him. It's too young. Because he's white. That's just nonsense. It's just stupid. I mean, look how people respond to Martin Luther King. Sure, there were some hardcore old bigots, but there's a difference between a bigot and a racist. A bigot is somebody who holds an unreasonable prejudice against someone based on their appearance, their customs, or their religion, and that's it. Now, racist, you just think that your race is the best and everybody else's race is not as good. Mm-hmm. But there's another term that is used in Europe quite a bit, particularly Britain, and it's racialist. And these people in the media are racialists, and a racialist is someone who uses racial issues to further their own agenda. Mm-hmm. They don't really have any vested interest in any race. It's all about getting their way and using these people as pawns, pit them against each other to get your way. And that's, in some ways, I think that's even worse than racism, because racism is just like, you're crazy.
Mm-hmm. It's easily dismissed.
Get out of here. But this is clever, because they're clever at this.
So speaking on this issue of race, we've seen this knockout game. You're familiar with this?
Yeah.
What do you think about the media coverage on that?
I haven't really seen that much media coverage on it. I've seen reports of it in the internet press. But as far as, I mean, just a report here and a report there, it's like, well, here's the thing. You let a bunch of kids who are, they're strong, and they're, you know, everybody, when you're 14, 15, 16 years old, everybody wants to be, you know, tough and capable and able to not only take care of myself, but take care of you too if I need to. But now they have more powerful toys to play with, and they can be goaded more easily at that age. I mean, everybody knows the only guy that's going to storm the, given a choice between the 40-year-old or the 20-year-old, which one do you think is going to storm the pillbox with the machine gun in it? It's going to be the young one, because he's got the testosterone going. I'll kick it, you know, right?
Yeah.
So you got a bunch of kids that are not occupied with anything else. They're not studying. Their parents don't make them study. The system doesn't say, listen, you can really have some nice things in this life, but you got to kind of get with the program. You got to go to school. And don't be bringing stuff to hurt people into the school. Now, if somebody's around there messing with you, we will remove them from the school. We don't call a SWAT team. We just come quietly, get them, and go, you can't do that to people. Now, come on, you're going to have to go over here now until you straighten out. But it's like Cosby said. You know, you can go, he says, first I heard the father speak, or first I heard the mother speak, and then I heard the father speak. And it's just like, what are you teaching the kids? So it's like, it doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter what color or what part of the world you're in. If you are deprived of your self-respect, and this self-respect is that you're supposed to have is thrown at you through the media based on what you should own and what you should wear and what you should drive, what's that going to produce? Resentment. So it's like, okay, here we are. We got nothing but time on our hands. We're capable young men. I got an idea. Let's go roll a shopping cart down the street and smash it into something. Mm-hmm. Let's go and roll a big tractor tire down the street into Mrs. Jones' house or something. You know, idiots.
Yeah.
Right? We did things when we were kids that we should have been executed for. Mm-hmm. But nobody did that. They just go, come here. Don't you ever do that again, because you're going to be in very serious trouble if you do. Oh, well, okay. And then we quit doing it, whatever it was, water balloon and toilet paper in the house, something. Mm-hmm. Don't do that. But now you have a like, one of the things that I agree with Adam Kokesh is that he says we don't have a criminal justice system, we have a criminal punishment system. If you really can't rehabilitate kids once they get in trouble, if you just punish them, all you do is make them tougher.
That's right.
And you put resentment into them, and when they get out, they just sit there and smolder till they get out, and they're going to find a way to hit back, and they don't even know what they're hitting back at.
They're mad at the system.
Yes.
Because just like you said, it's not to rehabilitate them, it's just to punish them.
Just to punish
especially for things, you know, such as the drug laws, the mandatory minimums. These guys, they see these murderers and rapists being released to keep them in jail. So of course they're going to be angry and resentful when they get out. I didn't kill anybody. I didn't rape anybody. Why is this guy getting out of jail?
That's exactly right. And it's wrong. I mean, it's just plain wrong. So you go, well, what are you going to do about it? It's like, the game is well underway and we're way behind. But we have to start at the elementary school level.
Now, we talk about this elementary school level, and I'm going to end with this and we'll get your final thoughts. We talk about the media manipulation and the media telling you who you need to be, what you need to be. We see these people, like these performers, they go up on stage and they're looking sledgehammers and they're humping each other and they're doing all this crazy stuff, and then it's sold to these children, these young ladies, these young men. This is how you need to be. How is this affecting our culture?
It's ruining it. It's absolutely ruining it. And the thing is it's all based in money. What can we do that attracts enough attention that we can make this, that we can get something off of this? How can we generate some real action here? It's up to the population, the people with the buying power. If you want something to go away, quit buying it.
Exactly. Just simple. Just that simple.
If it even amounts to no more than just turning off the TV and going, I'm not going to watch this. And you can broadcast whatever you want, but we're not going along with your program. And you talk to people. You don't text them. You don't email them. You walk over, you drive over, you take a train over, you go see the people. Some contact, a shake of the hand, look them in the face and shake them by the hand. Spend some time with them. You want to spend time on this, or you want to spend time like you and I are spending time?
Yes, this is a good time spent.
We're not going to be texting each other. I just know it.
Yeah.
I expect to see you again pretty soon.
Yeah, definitely. You're welcome back. Now, Mr. Wells, I want to get your final thoughts. I want you to look in that camera right there.
All right.
Tell us your final thoughts, whatever you think the people need to know, and also how we can keep up with you.
You are not a victim. You have power. You are being led to believe you don't have any. You are being led to believe that you're up against some monstrous Death Star like Darth Vader apparatus that you cannot overcome, but you can overcome it. Do not let go of the knowledge that you have power, and do not let go of your faith, because if you let go of your faith, it can be replaced by some third party with anything that they choose to replace it with. You have the power, you have the faith. You cannot change the world, but you can change your little part of it. So do it. And you'll find the first time you do it, the next time is easier, and easier still after that. That's it.
John B. Wells, thank you for your time, sir.
Thanks for yours.
All right. And there he goes, John B. Wells. You can keep up with John at jbwells.com.